Howdy, 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 my name is Anacha Sasuke, welcome back to Let's Read Homestuck. In the last episode, we got a whole lot of backstory on the existence of cherubs all the way up to an inner fission, and then we stopped. So from there, let's continue. Anyway, where was I? The heroine story ends and the villain story begins? I think. Yes, that's right. It is with the predomination of her son that our heroine story ends and the story of our villain begins. Ew. But as we all know, beginnings are not always so easy to pinpoint in Paradox Space. One could say his story began the day he claimed immortality, or the moment his being was inexplicably confined to a juju, allowing him access to any realm in which his vessel would capriciously materialize. But for the sake of linearity, we may as well say his story began the day he and his sister hatched. Ew. When a cherub hatches, the two undeveloped personalities mingle together in the same body. There is not yet a clear division between the two. It will then consume the eggshell for the vital nutrients it contains. The sugary snack is irresistible to the starving wiggler. Once it finishes its first meal, the two personalities will be pulled apart for good, and the child will pupate. The two halves will begin vacillating with their sleep cycles, as I described. It's adorable with the mixed up eyes and whatnot, and then it wasn't. As you might expect, the female child was as cheerful and as friendly as can be. Aww. She took after her mother in every way, at least the way her mother used to be, long before she was hardened by centuries of isolation and obsessive pursuit of justice. And to Jesta's little surprise, the male child was an insufferable brat. It is just as well that cherub parents abandoned their offspring. Raising such a child by the familial standards of any race would be a monumental challenge. Nevertheless, it would seem there were those who tried. Details in my research suggest our villain had a number of acolytes operating in the shadows, preparing for his arrival. We will probably never know who these scurrilous conspirators were, but it is evident that at some point the cherub was locked in a room, either out of exasperation or for its own good, until it was old enough to enter the session. Gamzee? Heh, Juju Beast. Is that raw steak? The children were left with everything a young cherub could ever want. Meat, candy, computers, a lifetime supply of special stardust, and of course their precious jujus. The acolytes had clearly gone to great lengths to harvest such items from all over the cosmos, so they could lavish their young master with gifts. They may have been prisoners, yes, but if you ask me, these children were very spoiled. While the female was preparing for a collaborative approach to the game, the male was plotting furiously against her. He never had any intention of working with her. As far as he was concerned, this game was his and his alone to conquer. One day he put his plan into motion. He had his sister's dream self assassinated on Prospect. The next time she went to sleep, she would never wake up again. When her brother woke up, he became the sole occupant of the body. He then freed himself from his chains and launched the session by himself. But this game was never meant to be played solo. Its format is inherently cooperative. The diversity of players, the combination of their efforts and aspects, this is what awakens the true creative potential of the game. Without them, a session will wither and die. If one enters alone, it completely alters the nature of the game. It changes its purpose. For a solo player, a challenging quest becomes an insurmountable one. A reward of infinite promise becomes a boon far more sinister. The gauntlet which the player must overcome is seemingly designed to be impossible. For all intents and purposes, it is not actually a game at all. It is a death sentence for any player foolish enough to accept the challenge. But it bears repeating, this was a very special cherub. He entered what is called a dead session. This qualifies as both a null and void session, but is even less than either of those. Compared to a typical session, it is almost unrecognizable. Before the game begins, sky is blotted out with a dark layer of clouds. Its light is extinguished for good. There is no planet waiting for the player in the medium, so instead he brought it with him. But when he arrived, there was no heroic journey for him to embark on. There was nothing. No sprite, no consorts, no underlings. The land had no name. Those things all needed to be unlocked. To unlock his true quest, he was forced to undergo a series of excruciatingly tedious trials. Only then would the way to the planet's core be revealed. And while such trials might discourage there he would consult the most monstrous denizen of all. And while such trials might discourage most players from even trying, our villain's response was quite the contrary. He was only emboldened by the mind-numbing chores. He took to them with gusto, as if performing them out of spite. And with perseverance, he found the final door and unlocked it. Waiting for him on the other side was a terrible creature named Yaldagoth? Yaldabaoth? His denizen would allow him a brief audience, one just long enough for him to make the choice. Let's see what this flash is. It seems to be a denizen. No denizen has ever been mistaken for pleasant company, but the self-proclaimed god of all monsters is notoriously inhospitable to his players. His choices are known for their wild extremes, and to this player, in this session, he offered his most extreme choice of all. It was the choice between a path of conquest and a path of sacrifice. But this is putting it lightly. In a tongue only his player could understand, he described what the path of the martyr entailed. In short, it involved nothing. The player chooses to walk away from the temptation of power, to surrender all ambition and to welcome death. In exchange for this pledge comes a promise. The player's sacrifice is assured to benefit all who will ever live. In death, the player would later be in the position to help bring an end to the force of unfathomable evil and destruction. A force which was unleashed, for instance, by someone who once opted for the other choice. Yaldabaoth then described what it meant to choose the path of the conqueror. It was a path for a more active player, to be sure. The player's mettle as a conquering force would be tested directly and repeatedly. One by one, he would have to conquer and destroy a number of planets spawned for him in the session. Each would be more difficult than the last. After destroying them all, his true land would become unlocked. He would then return to face his denizen again and defeat him in combat. If successful, his reward would be unprecedented. He would receive the boon of unconditional immortality, where resurrection would not be linked with the just or heroic nature of death. It is unclear how this boon would be rewarded, since to my knowledge it is beyond even the ability of a denizen to allow this. But through whatever mechanism the boon is bestowed, immortality is only the beginning. The player is somehow also imbued with a limitless supply of power, enough to destroy anything he wanted for as long as he wanted. And knowing the villain of our story, anything he wanted would be everything. And as long as he wanted would be forever. Yes, knowing our villain, the choice he would make is quite clear. Knowing him, in fact, proves it could hardly be considered a choice at all. It was at this point the real game would begin. Skya would undergo a dramatic transformation, becoming even darker and heavier. A black hole? Soon it would become a very massive solid sphere. It would begin to generate heat within due to rising density. The surface would begin to crack. Oh dang. The resulting explosion is known as the first break. From the primordial blast would emerge 15 planets for the player to conquer. They would shatter and ricochet at high velocity before settling into orbit in the medium. The break is a very violent phenomenon, though. Not all planets will necessarily clear the blast before the sky and debris settles into its final state. Because, of course, it's a pool metaphor. The vast amount of resulting matter then collapses into a black hole. Its gravitational pull is tremendous. Any object within the range will be sucked in and destroyed. Those planets which settle into orbit will be safe for the time being, but in the case of our villain's session, 3 of the planets did not make it and fell back into the hole. This was a very lucky break for him. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Black hole. Earth. It meant that he would only have to conquer 12 planets instead. This bit of good fortune could very well have been the difference which allowed him to overcome a nearly impossible challenge. His task was to destroy all of these planets in order, each within a time allowance that gets shorter with each planet. To destroy a planet, first it must be conquered. He would have to overcome all forces of resistance on the planet and ultimately defeat whatever powerful underling ruled there. Then, much like he did to unlock the quest in the first place, he would have to travel to the planet's core. There he would retrieve a bomb and return to the surface. If he did not accomplish this in time, the bomb would detonate in the core and the game would be lost automatically. The bomb is not powerful enough to destroy the planet alone. In fact, its purpose is not to damage the planet at all, but to move it. So he must bring it to a designated location on the surface. When it explodes, the planet will be knocked out of orbit and sucked into the hole. Of course, he must make sure he has moved to the next planet before this happens. It's literally a game of pool. He repeats this process for each planet until they are all gone. There's one caveat, though. He must skip the 8th planet. If he sinks that one before any of the others, it will result in the destruction of the entire session. Thus, it must be the final planet he conquers. Literally a game of pool. Land of and upon destroying the 8th planet, his true land will reveal itself. The dead planet will come to life, and there he must prepare for battle with his denizen. He may sharpen his combat skills, craft new weaponry, anything he can do to improve his chances against a very powerful endgame foe. Fortunately for him, he would not have to face the monster alone. By then he will have accumulated a party of loyal minions. With each planet he destroys, he will be awarded a new Leprechaun follower. Even if a planet was destroyed in the break, he will still be awarded that planet's Leprechaun upon destroying the planet preceding it. Sort of like a 2-for-1 deal. Wait, Leprechauns? Yes, John! I'm delighted to see you have pounced on what is clearly the most interesting part of the story thus far. Leprechauns are a fascinating mythical race, although there is some dispute among scholars as to whether they are actually a breed of gnome. I can't say I blame you for being speechless. There are no doubt hundreds of questions swirling in your head at once about these wonderful creatures. Where do I even begin? You must forgive me. I find it very difficult to resist going on at length about them. I just think they are so great. For instance, I can and have given lectures for weeks at a time on their marvelous and widely varying magical abilities. More intriguing yet would be any medium to long-form harangue on the topic of their culture and customs, both of which revolve around luck. But most captivating of all, and the subject upon which I will now assiduously expound, would be the positively scintillating subject of leprechaun romance. Oh God. The problem is that when the subject of leprechaun romance is broached, our overly obsessive troll intellects instantly assume the most ingratiating posture of admiration imaginable, which makes it hard to give it proper academic focus, because of how great it is, but we will do our best to understand regardless. Trolls have only 4 forms of romance, and though we consider it a complicated subject spanning a wide range of emotions, social conventions, and implications for reproduction, it is ultimately a superficial slice of what leprechauns consider the full body of romantic experience. Our concept of romance, in spite of its capacity to fill our art and literature and to rule our individual destinies like little else, is still just that, a single quaternary concept, a concept usually denoted by 4 symbols. Cards. Leprechaun romance is more complicated than that. Leprechaun romance needs 9 symbols. The 9 quadrants of the leprechaun romance are considerably more nuanced than our quaint notions of romance and certainly more alien. In fact, so conditioned is my own understanding of romance that I can't help but refer to them as quadrants when in fact they are not quadrants at all. They are referred to as charms. One of the charms is characterized by romantic love, as understood by both trolls and human, but after that, all bets are off. There's no division between black or red, concupiscent, or conciliatory. I don't even know if I said any of that right. Instead, their charms comprise a spectral continuum of more subtly varying types of relationships, most of which are established in mutual chicanery, such as the exchange of pranks, coy riddles, slapstick shenanigans, and games of chance. Furthermore, a pair of leprechauns is not limited to a single charm. A relationship may be defined by multiple charms at once. In fact, some of the most interesting relationships arise from exotic charm combinations. A stable relationship consisting of 3 or more charms is called a trove. These advanced relationships are often viewed as the ideal end result for a romance, much the way specific pairing rituals are for humans. No charm is specifically tied to procreation, though any type of relationship could begin waxing concupiscent if Lady Luck should so decide. Certain charm combinations are known to be more conductive to fertility than others. If the leprechaun pair has been so blessed, they will begin an elaborate coupling procedure culminating in a lively mating jig. The jigs are specific to the charms, of course, similar to how different kinds of music lend themselves to various styles of dance. While their romance is endlessly captivating, leprechaun reproduction may be the most interesting subject of all, particularly from a perspective of detailed and anatomical study, which I will get to shortly. But first, it bears pointing out that while for humans reproductive relationships are exclusively heterosexual, and for trolls they are bisexual, for leprechauns they... Wow, what a story! But wasn't that story great, everyone? Wow! You really liked it that much, Vriska? Hell yeah! Oh my god, that leprechaun stuff's so good! Right, guys? Wow, well, I will be happy to continue then if you mind, Fang. Have I told you how great it's been to get to know each other and team up on adventures and stuff? I really feel like you've helped me get in touch with my ancestral roots, mainly as a kick-ass storyteller. It was like this whole part of my personality I was never aware of. Like the part that's compelled to just outright explain tons of really interesting things to people while sparing no detail whatsoever. It's made me feel a lot closer to understanding my aspect, as well as closer to you, so I just wanted to say thanks. Oh, you're welcome. I feel the exact same way about my time with you. You've really helped me get in touch with the true pirate within. I saw in you the adventurous spirit I've always wished I could be. You helped me finally understand the virtue of rationalizing questionable decisions and behaving unscrupulously for the greater good. Haha, stop. You're gonna make me start tearing up. Get over here and give me a hug, Alpha Sister. That frown. Whoa, okay then. I guess we're back to these trolls now. Who? You know, Vriska's ancestor, the friendly one who tells long stories. Oh yeah. Oh, should I be saying this loud? Oh yeah, her. I don't know, I can't keep all these ghost names straight. Flip Tuna, Meowlin, wasn't there a Carlos? Fuck it, they were all named Carlos as far as I'm concerned. Wait, except Mina, she was alright. A little forward, but whatever, this isn't the point. All I remember about my interactions with the circuit girl was getting cornered into these ludicrous monologues, then racking my brain for excuses to get the hell out of there. Yeah, well, I was a little more tactful than you and actually listened and let her talk me into something I shouldn't have. So she was just like, poof, and suddenly her eyes were better? Yes. What is she, some sort of magic fairy? Yes, that's kind of literally what she is. Oh. Alright, I guess her story checks out then. Good for her! But this doesn't seem like you, Terezi. I mean, I didn't think you even wanted your eyesight back. I've never met anyone as chuffed about her own disability as you. I was always under the impression you felt like it was a big part of who you are. It was. The moment she healed me, I knew I had made a terrible mistake, but I couldn't take it back. I thought about it, like just blinding myself again and pretending it never happened, but even the way it happened originally was something special to me. I can't duplicate that. And even if I could, it still wouldn't be the same. I can't seem to forgive myself for being so stupid. For some reason, I thought it was a good idea to take the only cool and unique thing about myself and fix it. What was I thinking? Whoa. The only cool thing about you? Terezi, I want there to be understanding, but I can't get behind some of the shit you're saying about yourself here. What made you start unraveling like this? I think it was when we started meeting our ancestors, and I thought they were all cooler and older and more interesting than us. Even though they probably weren't. They had a lot of problems and insecurities too, but I guess the kind that older kids have, and when you're younger, you don't really recognize them as problems. You look at those things as just a part of what it's like being someone who's more interesting and grown up than you. Maybe since I'm not as young anymore, I guess I can see that now. But I was stupidly awestruck by some people who were not so impressive in retrospect, and I made a dumb mistake. Wait, we met all of those people, like, kind of a long time ago. How long have you been hiding this from everyone? I don't know, a year or something? And I wasn't hiding it, I just didn't tell anybody. Yeah, that's what hiding it means. But you usually can't see my eyes anyway, because of my glasses? Duh. I know, but not telling anybody that is still being pointlessly secretive. You could have said, hey, Carcat, I fucked up and now I can see again. Maybe we can talk about this so I don't go into a tragic downward spiral and make you worry about me for no reason. I'm sorry, I should have. But I was so ashamed. Almost said smashed. And what about this clandestine black rom nonsense you've got going on with Gamzee? What? Have you been dating him for just as long? Was he involved in that decision? Like, did he help talk you into healing your eyes or something? How did you know we were dating? Did he tell you? Oh my god, Teresa, you were a fucking catastrophe. You used to be, like, cunning and considerably more intelligent than me, which I have no problem admitting, but this is ridiculous. Even if I didn't figure it out myself, which I did, because it was obvious, you were up here on the roof flying unconscious in a pile of hoghorns and Faygo bottles. I am not a master of deduction, but unless you were recently stomped on by some sort of golem composed of garbage from a circus, it seems fair to say you were officially down with the clown. Okay, yes, it's true. Well, what do you have to say about it? I couldn't get up the nerve to tell you about that either. In a way, I'm even more disgusted with myself for dating that asshole than I am for healing my eyes. Then why are you doing it? I don't know! I can't bring myself to stop seeing him. Every time I think I can't stomach the sight of his ugly face for another second, he pulls me back in. He's just so awful. He always knows exactly what to say to piss me off. Everything he does, his fake god tier suit, his smug expression, the dumbass way he butchers his sentences, like, say shit like, all getting up at his motherfucking honk on. I hate it so much, but I keep coming back for more. He's like a drug, even more addicting than this revolting soda I can't stop drinking. I've had so much Faygo, I can't even taste the color anymore. I just taste the sugar and the bubbles and the awful flavor it leaves behind, which just makes me drink more to wash it away, until I feel so nasty I have to take a long soda nap, but I wake up loathing myself even more, so I just reach for another bottle. It is truly the wicked elixir. Terezi, I want him to be out of my life. He's the worst thing that has ever happened to me, but I guess you can't help who you hate. This is killing me hearing this. I seriously want to weep actual puke out of my eyeballs from this story. How did this happen? I've got to say, I didn't see it coming. If you told me sweeps ago, you and he, I wouldn't believe it. Like, if the writing was on the wall there, I sure as fuck didn't read it. Yeah, it snuck up on me. It didn't help that he terrorized us when we were hiding from Jack. Right under my nose, too. Somehow I didn't put the pieces together at the time and let him get away with murder. And gradually I started having these uncontrollable thoughts about him. Dark thoughts. And when I would catch a whiff of him in the corridors, like he was taunting me, that just fanned the flames. Then we started talking shit with each other more and more. And he was so much nastier than he ever used to be. Way more than any of our friends ever were. One time he started mocking my blindness, which never bothered me when anyone else did it, but somehow, the stuff he said, I let it get under my skin, and combined with meeting a lot of new people I felt like I couldn't live up to. That's when I started reconsidering Erinea's offer. I knew it! I knew he must have had something to do with that decision, that slimy bastard! This is mostly my fault. I wasn't vigilant enough with him, and I let our moral allegiance break down. If I kept a closer eye on him, maybe he wouldn't have lured you into a spinning tent of shit. No, you shouldn't feel like... Or maybe it's Kanaya's fault. She's always been a good auspicious. Maybe she could have prevented this if she wasn't so preoccupied herself. No, wait! It's actually my fault again! If I had been on the ball and auspicized between her and Rose, she would have had the time to auspicize between you and Gamzee. Damn it, I always say I know so much about romance, yet I routinely underestimate its complexity. So I only figure out what to do after it's way too late. God, I'm so stupid. Ugh, shut up. It's no one's fault but mine. I'm the one who has to deal with it. Yeah, okay. For what it's worth, he'll probably just break it off and leave you once we get to the new session. All his loyalties and priorities are totally warped now. I'm not sure what he really cares about anymore, but it sure isn't any of us. You think he will leave me? Yeah, I do. Whoa, what? Isn't that what you want? No! I'd be devastated if he just suddenly ditched me like that. Okay, help me out. You're confusing me here. I feel pathetic. And I guess a sick and terrible part of me doesn't want him to go. But if he does, I want it to be because I tell him it's over. Wow. Alright, I guess that makes sense. Sorry. I'm just trying to be supportive here. But I'm not always sure what the right thing to say is. I'm doing my fucking best. This is complicated for me too. You're both my friends. I know. I appreciate your intentions, Cardcat. Maybe it would be better if you weren't sitting up there in that backwards chair while you talk to me. What? Why? Yeah, dude, you should probably ditch the chair. What the fuck is wrong with my chair? Or at least sit on it frontways or offer her another chair. I don't know. It's kind of a dumb affectation in this context. No, look, it's casual and relaxed. Like, it visually conveys that my presence in the conversation is humble and non-threatening, yet frank and attentive. What the fuck do you want from me? To sit on the goddamn floor. Why should I squat on the dirty floor? What difference does it make? So you can be on the same vertical plane with your friend while you exhibit compassion for her grody clown problem? Dave, it's fine. Never mind about the chair, I don't care. It just struck me as a bit distractingly silly, that's all. Okay, wow, fine. Fuck the chair. Pardon me for making myself comfortable during a sincere heart-to-heart discussion with a dear friend in need. But the time has come for me to cease straddling this deeply offensive piece of furniture. Away with ye, four-legged temptress! Distract us no more with the most basic and utilitarian form of creature comfort you supply. Carcat just threw a tantrum about a chair. I just won Carcat Tantrum Bingo. At last! We are free from the accursed instrument of ass elevation! Where did you even get that chair? Did you steal it from the common area? Unlike everyone else ever, I happen to make a practice of capture-logging items which might be convenient on a day-to-day basis. Say I'm strolling around and find myself in need of a place to sit. Bam! Suddenly a chair. And no, I didn't steal it. How could I steal something from the common area? Nobody actually owns any of that fucking furniture. That's why it's called the common area, you accusatory piece of filth! Sounds like communism. Are you a communist or something? Actually, that makes perfect sense with your sickle and all. What are you talking about? Wait, John has a hamburger. Oh shit, it's all adding up. When we arrive, are you going to team up with John and seize the means of production? You appear to be jump-starting a facetious discussion about some sort of human economic ideological framework without having the slightest clue that your vehicle is parked squarely in the nobody gives a fuck zone. I'm just saying, first chairs, what next? See, I'm all about private property and pocketing dough. Do you have any idea how rich I am? I am a man of means, motherfucker. What is your point? Just don't come after my boonies, dude. Or should I say, Carcat Max? You aren't being serious now! These are not the words of a serious person. I was having a serious discussion like a big-time adult with my good friend Terezi. Your callous and nonsensical remarks are derailing us from the delicate subject at hand. Why don't you be useful and say something reassuring to our sad mutual buddy, you wailing jet engine of infantile stoic-eloquence? I don't know how the fuck to say that. I don't have much to say about this. I've kind of got to recuse myself on the matter. I'm all kinds of on the record about being squeaked out by the idea of hate relationships, so I got no point of reference for gauging when one is fucked up the way that's normal for trolls, or if it's fucked up because it's actually fucked up and terrible. This is like some ex-alien boyfriend prime directive shit. I can't intervene because I don't know what I'm talking about, but you do, so I guess keep going. You were saying some pretty good stuff before I started writing your jock about chairs. Terezi, do you see what I have to deal with? Actually, I guess you can. You can now literally see that what I have to deal with and experience all due empathy for the fact that I have a douche as a best friend. Yes, I can see the view from here is douche-tacular. Thank you. So that's it then? No advice at all, smart Alec? Why did I even bring you here for this intermission then? Intermission? Intervention, I mean. Sorry, I misspoke. It's not an intervention either. My ghostly head's all beaming out of this crab for moral support, yo. I am in my homie's corner, even if he is a massive socialist. Terezi, I think I can probably figure this out. She grew up alone and blind in a forest. I think she will manage to bounce out of her juggalo phase. But yeah, Terezi, you should at least quit the fucking soda. Yeah, okay. Okay, yes, I'll stop. What, just like that? Sure, it's really gross. I think we're missing the point here. This isn't just about an unhealthy obsession with a foul soft drink. It's about how you feel about yourself. You are barely functional right now. You can't even pick yourself up off the floor and put on a pair of pants. Remember pants, Terezi? You used to love pants. Yeah, pants are pretty great. You used to be a lot of things, and all of those were good things. But now that we're about to arrive, right when we need you the most, you do a sensational belly flop into a circus vat of your own tangy slobber. Oh please, what could you possibly need me for? You're an important member of this party. We'll need you to help stand up to Jack and whatever else is waiting for us there. I don't think I'll be very useful. Well, not like this you won't. You've got to get your act together. No, I mean, even then I won't be. I don't have much to offer even on my best day. What about your mind powers, though? What if we need somebody with mind powers to do some sort of mindy thing? What mind powers? You know, the ones where you flip a coin and something crazy happens. Okay, I don't actually know how it works, but what about that? Pfft, I never developed those powers very well, and it's been a long time since I even thought about them. I don't think they're very valuable, honestly. In fact, all they ever seemed to do was trick me into feeling like I knew what I was doing. They actually made me believe I was in control of other people's fates, not even to speak of my own. It was a really dangerous kind of delusion, and now it feels like the only heroic thing I ever did with those powers was use them to justify killing my friend. Huh? Oh, right. And what's worse is, to this day, I'm still not even totally sure it was necessary. I think I've lost the ability to tell if I'm being punished for what I did or if I'm punishing myself. Well, yeah, of course it was necessary. Even if it wasn't the morally right choice or whatever, it was obviously something that had to happen. That's the cruel thing about Paradox Space. It systematically validates all your mistakes as necessary outcomes. Not even necessary for your own good or personal growth. It's always bigger than you. Like, your errors in judgment are inseparable from the way reality has to unfold. So it never lets you forget about them. Because they were all critical to the big picture, and all your past flaws are like scars. Scars in space-time that never heal, and always serve to remind you that the perfect version of yourself you wish you could be can never exist. Because the survival of everyone you care about depends on him not existing. I know all that. It doesn't stop me from wondering. It's simple. If you hadn't killed her, you would have withered away in a doomed timeline. Yeah, and sometimes I wish I had. At this point, I think I would rather be the better person who made the right decision, even if it also meant being the one to fade away forever. Well, I wouldn't want that. Does that fucking matter to you? Does that factor anywhere to your dreary existential equation? You probably think I'm crazy. Just as crazy as you think I am for dating Gamzee, but I really miss her. No, I don't think you're crazy for that. And yet, if I ever saw her again, there's no way I could talk to her, so part of me hopes I never— Ow! Dave, you dick! What? Don't blame me, I can't control the crab. Okay, so since we're coming up on Act 6, Intermission 5, Intermission 3, I think this is probably a good stopping point for this episode. So, this has been episode, I believe, 119 of Let's Read Homestuck. In the next episode, we're going to start Act 6, Intermission 5, Intermission 3. I think it goes Intermission 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then Intermission 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Act 6, Intermission 6, Intermission 6, and then it becomes Act 7, I think. Unless it goes Act 6, Act 6, Act 6, then Act 7. I don't remember. It's going to be a while. So, if you liked it, a like and a subscribe would be groovy. If you didn't, you don't need to do either one of those things. I will see y'all in the next one. Later.